Hello YouTube! In this video we're gonna try something completely different from my usual content. Channel is dedicated to hobbies, and one of my hobbies is Nintendo Switches and all sorts of retro consoles and everything. Today on my table I have one of those low serial number hackable Nintendo Switches, and there's some few problems I want to solve with Joy-Cons. I used to repair those consoles a lot, and probably I have something to share with you. You can see here that hinges are broken. I can show it's not holding in a place. I will show the hinge here. You see it's broken. Those are plastic. You can see here that shells are very used. Sticks themselves have quite a drift. I want to check the buttons also because those got broken all the time, unsoldered. Overall, those Joy-Cons are working fine. I charged it before just to see how it will hold up, and we can see that left controller has a little battery issue. I'm used to repair those a lot, and I have a lot of spare parts, and I have quite some experience to determine good parts from the bad parts. I have prepared two batteries that I will put in. Those batteries been in this box for a long time, and I just measured the voltage, and voltage is very close to storage nominal voltage, which means those batteries are supposed to be good. I got those out of Amazon, 4 sticks. One of the things I'm looking is it like a blue ribbon cable, very close to the original. I think those are made on original factory, but just sold as knockoffs or replacement. This plate is a very important piece that gives us knowledge that is a very good quality Joy-Cons. Of course, they're gonna have drift if you will abuse them like others. I wanted to put Hall sensor Joy-Cons in there, but that's not really a huge benefit for me. If as this console will be used for me or my daughter, I don't want them to be super expensive. Those were super cheap. So let's start the repair process. We take Joy-Cons off. For now, we're just gonna replace the sticks, and I'm also prepared original shells. So the way I found those original shells, you go on eBay and find guys who modify Joy-Cons. They replace casing to the all sorts of like transparent and thing, and they usually sell their cases. And I know those are original because you can see here a little sticky tape. That was original battery sticked here, and some of those things here that like a pads. That means those Joy-Cons were disassembled like from the original and just replaced the casing. In this process, I would like to replace the things that stops the Joy-Cons from falling off. And again, I have a lot of extra parts. Here's all the original pieces. We will need one of those metal ones. I have bought them in bulk before from AliExpress. Here we have two different on a different sides. You can see. So the tools you will need, one of them is driving screwdriver. We need it to unscrew those 4 screws, and another one is just regular Phillips and just some tweezers. The complexity of Joy-Cons is different. Left Joy-Con is significantly easier to repair than the right one, because right one we have scanner for the amiibos. So we'll start with the left one, and the left one with minus here, and the rest of the parts will be the original. We're gonna leave the slider is original. Those are pretty rarely get broken. And the first thing here, we just take our screwdriver and slowly start to unscrew the screws. I recommend to push screwdriver pretty hardly inside, because driving screws very easy to strip, and you don't want the screwdriver to slip. For some reason those Joy-Con screws like super gentle, and you slip it 1-2 times, you're not gonna be able to undo it. And one of the things is just push it when you're unscrewing it. We got 4 screws out, and the first thing we do when we open it, we just easily split it, and don't force it too hard. Main reason is because we have a lot of things here. You can see there's a lot of ribbon cables. For some reason in this Joy-Con that motor got stuck here. In any electronics, when you do something, first thing, unplug the battery. We're going to replace this battery. Next step will be to unscrew those 3 screws. We want to take this part first before we can get access to the locks out there. Otherwise, you can damage ribbon cables and you will need this new part and slider too. So you can easily see yellow screws that holding this plate. Now we should be able to gently pull it up. Also, don't force it. There is a button here. It's on a ribbon cable. We need to open the latch and pull out the ribbon cable. You can pull it like that. The next step for us will be to take this piece, the lid, the back lid. Again, we gently pull up the lockers from both sides and gently pull the ribbon cables. That's it. And I will start with the back. I would like to unscrew the slider and to replace the latch too. There's one screw holding it right here. You just remove it, be careful. There's a button in the casing. You can take it out. This latch actually looks okay and you see it's not stripped, but I still want to replace it with the metal one. And now I take out the screw from this plate. When you took out the screw, you will need a little tweezer from one side. You put it in and you gently lift it, just a little bit. Then you put the tweezer from another side, where the screw was in, and also gently lift it. The reason why you need to do it, you want to keep the shape of this metal thingy the same as was before. That way, when you put it back in, it stays in place. And now, next step will be to lift the latch. But be careful, there is a spring in there. You don't want it to go flying. I usually just aim it at my hand and you can easily take the tweezers and push it. And now you can see everything fell off here. So we take a spring, we take our new latch, put it in, and now we are at the step where we don't want to lose the spring. So we put spring in, holding the latch on the side, and you want to aim the spring inside of the latch, inside of the position, and it's flew off. And it's gone. So I prepared another spring. It's a perfect opportunity for me to show you that those springs are super easy to lose. But I'm trying to aim up high in the camera. I have spare parts. You have to aim at the table. That's the easiest way for you to not lose it. I usually take it this way, pushing the spring in and pushing all latch in too. And now you can see the latch is there. It's not going anywhere. We take a plate that we took before and just put it in the way it used to be. Simply pushing it in place. There's one recommendation, because those are self-tapping screws that used to be here, that the black one used to be here. When you put it in the plastic or any kind of plastic you see self-tapping, you screw back the screw till you hear the click. It will be super difficult for me to get click now because it's like tiny screw, but you will feel it when you will start unscrewing it. There will be a position where it will click. And now you can just easily push it in. And this part is ready to go on place. And now we're gonna take a new lid and put the button in. Very important to put button with a little notch up here, because otherwise you're not gonna be able to align the metal latch with the button. Push the trail back in place. And we use the screw that we took out before. This is a little white screw. Again, we screw in back, hearing click, and screwing in. That way you're not gonna self-tap another thread for the screw. The next step, we'll take a main part. The first thing here will be to slowly take everything we have here apart, and we have white screws holding a motherboard and yellow screws holding a stick itself. Let's first thing, we just open all the latches, that way we are not going to accidentally rip any of the good parts. We take off the stick. We also want to take out the haptic motor. I grab it on the side with the tweezers and pull it up, easy. And now you can take something and just a little bit pry the motor. Our motor is out. Next step for me will be to take out the old stick. And the next step, we have 2 screws to take out the motherboard. White screws. We get it out. Usually this part sticks. We have some dust here that we probably want to clean. We always want to clean buttons and the rubbers. Overall motherboard seems to be in a good condition. Place it here. Take out all the buttons. This button has a little glue on the bottom. Those things that they usually get stick on. And we take out L and R buttons. So we're almost done here. The first thing I would like to inspect the button. Usually if you see this part bended, or sometimes you can see the soldering came off, make sure this part is good and solder things that were broken. If kids are pushing too hard, this button usually get broken very easily. So far this looks very clean. I get lucky to get those Joy-Cons in such condition. And we're gonna take this piece and put it onto the new shell. This one helps with the dust. There's 2 glue parts here and here. You just simply put the tweezers in and lift it up. Let's take the front, and first what we're gonna do, we're gonna take that seal we just took off. It is super easy to align. You can see here there's 2 standoffs that you can align on, and also a little aiming spot. You just place it like that. Those standoffs were the holes on the gasket, or wherever you call it. And there's a little like lines here. You can see that outlining where that piece is supposed to go. The first thing in this case, we have to take buttons and clean them. We're gonna clean everything because we are assembling pretty much a new Joy-Con. We want it to be perfect. It doesn't matter who's playing those, the gun gets between the buttons all the time. It just got smooshed there. So we take each button and we just clean it around. This is very important because you don't want your buttons to be like feeling sticky or something like that. If yours are too dirty, you can simply use the soap water and clean it with soap water. The buttons for the directions have little cutouts here, which are correlate to the direction. So you can see here, you're never gonna be able to put them the wrong way. The side buttons, and you can see here, it goes here like that. And all of the buttons on this console actually have such thing, and there is no way you put it in a wrong spot. The same thing for the A, B and other buttons on the other controller. So we put the buttons in, we put the rubber things, rubber pads. Here you go. It's busy. And now we put the motherboard. I would like to put the motherboard first, and the main reason is because I want those buttons to be on place. Let's just take the screwdriver. We had white screws here. one on top corner. Again, we turn it till it clicks. We turn it backwards till it clicks. And second one, again backwards, and then when clicks, forwards. And you have that on place. Very nice. The next step, we put the motor. Easy way to determine what side it's supposed to go. The cables have to be connected into the motherboard. Just push it in. And I take the connector with the tweezers, push it in. Here it is. Now we do those buttons. It doesn't matter what side this cutout is, but the way it used to be, it went here with the bottom being cutted, like this. Again, I used to assemble them a lot and I didn't see any difference putting it up or down. It's the same minus button, nothing gonna change. Again, I almost forgot the rubber. Let's get it in. The ribbon cable. And we had 3 white screws, again, to put it in. Those are regular Phillips. I turn it backwards till it clicks. We have our buttons here. And before we plug these in, let's take the stick. Have it this way. The stick was held by 2 yellow screws or green screws. They can be yellow, they can be green, depends on the version or how old your Joy-Cons. We do the same thing, we turn it, get the click. You don't want to tap extra threads in there. Perfect. That's how everything looks. Let's plug in the ribbon cables. This first one, I will put the Joy-Con. Again, make sure the top is up. Good. We close it. Another one goes in. It's there. We close it. And look at that. We almost finished. The only thing we have left is connect the battery, connect the back plate, and put everything back in. We also have that left button, and you can see some grime around it. We are going to clean it too. We don't want anything interfere our new old Joy-Con. Just simply push it in. Click the button, it works. So before we actually do that, before we move forward, we have that side piece. And one of the problems with this side piece, if you try to remove those buttons the wrong way, you can break the button itself. So you have to be very careful. And the way I do it, I just take it this way and put my finger in and just lift it up. When you're lifting it up, there's 2 springs that coming out. Just be careful, don't lose them. And you have little PCB here. We are going to unscrew the PCB. White screw. Take this out. This is the old part. And we have the new part here. So let's put back the PCB. It is held here by the little tab. White screw, turn backwards, clicks, fronts. Next step, we need to take the button, clean it too, because the grime gets here all the time. Let's take the springs and put them on place. Next step is to put the button in, and you can see here there's little tabs or little standoffs on which springs are sitting. You put those up top of the spring just to make the spring is holding in, and then you just simply push the button in. Don't push it too hard because you can break the button underneath. And now you can see it's in place very easily, just simply by aligning our button with the springs. Okay, the next step will be to plug in all the ribbon cables and the backplate before we can do middle part, because you don't want it to be on a way of plugging in the ribbon cables. You lift up the latch, take the ribbon cable, there's some ears on the ribbon cable, here you go, then close the latch, and another one, the latch is open, we take the ribbon cable, push it in, and close the latch. Be careful with those ribbon cables. Do not try to straighten them, because otherwise you're gonna break the ribbon cable. Let's put back the back piece, but before we do it, you need to connect the ribbon. Otherwise you're not gonna be able to access it underneath. Open the latch, push it in, close the latch. Now you can take that middle piece and put it on place where it's supposed to sit. Keep in mind there's a button here, the middle button here. Oh, just on my finger. We take yellow screws, we put one into the corner. The technique is the same, you screw it backwards till it clicks, and then you screw it in without making extra threads. And we take one of the batteries. In this case, this is the battery from the right side. Okay. The way I do it, I push it in here. Be careful, don't make a fire and don't cross plus and minus. You push it in, the Joy-Con is powered. I just flip the battery. There are two stickers here that hold the battery. One of them right here on the corner, one of them right here. If you don't have those, move them from your old piece, old part. We push the battery. And now, very carefully, don't stress a lot those ribbons. We align the piece with the front, no rush, and click it in. So the original Joy-Cons always have some kind of gaps and everything, and you can easily avoid those just slowly screwing the screws in, and just don't screwing them all the way, aligning the shell. So again, I'm screwing backwards till I hear the click. I screw it till almost the end, but don't all the way, because you can see it's sliding and moving, creating gaps and everything. Put all the screws in. And now, first step will be aligning the shell here. Just align it, hold it, push the screw all the way and tighten it. Make sure you don't have step here, because it's gonna get some grime in, and also it's not gonna look right. You can see it's aligned here. We close the lid all the way and straighten it. And same thing, you can see it's moving here. I just push it a little bit with my finger and screw the screw. And the last one that usually gets totally wrong, I can see it is very straightened now. I slowly push the screw in, align the shell. Okay, over pushed, just take it back a little bit, straighten everything, and let's close it. You see now all the gaps are perfect. We don't have any overlaps here. It looks super clean. I bet your factory Joy-Cons are not looking the same. because that's what I see all the time when I'm taking apart the original Joy-Cons. An easy way to figure out that you haven't broke anything is to push one of those SR or SL buttons. You can see this is blinking. That means we haven't broke one ribbon cable that goes here. Another ribbon cable goes to connect the piece. You can see our latch here. I'm going to turn on the Nintendo Switch, and we need to calibrate stick on this Joy-Con and make sure all the buttons are working. Let's plug in the Joy-Con. It's working. Let's see if the battery is good. The battery is perfectly fine. Let's close it. Let's open the settings and find here the control and calibrate the stick. Test the controller buttons. I will take it off because I want to test SLRs. The top one works. The L is works, minus works, stick works, all those works. We push SL, SR, both works, and we push the screenshot button. Let's move to the right Joy-Con. Fixing a right Joy-Con is a more complicated task than the left one because it has multiple things like a scanning piece, and overall PCB is a bit more complicated. We again push the screws, slowly open it up. I usually pry it with my nail right here. All the way. Carefully lifting the lid, because we don't want to break those ribbons. Take the battery out. Perfect. There's a little antenna here. I just usually take it out this way, just pull it. The next step is to unscrew the yellow screw here, all three of them. Slowly lifting this middle piece, because the ribbon cable here is way shorter, or you can just easily slide it that way so you can get access without ripping this part. Unplug it, pull it out. We have taken out the middle piece. The next step, to unplug the back cover. Again, same way. Pulling out. If you try to unbend this, it will get broken. You will break the cable itself. I don't know if you can see it here. Don't do anything with it. We will start with a back piece, the same way we started on the left Joy-Con. Unscrewing the white screw, Phillips. Lifting up, taking the button out. Again, Phillips screwdriver. Unscrewing from the opposite side of the screw. I put something sharp, lift it a little bit, just that, about that. And then I can push the tweezers on this side. Then on the middle, I just easily lift it up without extra bend. We aiming the spring in the hand, pulling it up without losing a spring. Take this piece out. We take our metal latch, taking the spring, pushing the spring against the wall and pushing it in. Pushing in. Black screw. Few rotations back till we hear the click. Push it in. Perfect. This piece is ready. Let's take the right Joy-Con, the back lid. Here it is. In this case, button is clear. I'm not gonna do anything to it. Again, the little piece, I don't know if you can see it here. And we pushing the piece on place. White screw. Few turns back, pushing in. Perfect. Next is a middle piece. we want to take battery out. Just take something not super sharp to punch the battery. Again, I will use the newer battery. Just push it in, stick. And easy way to remove the button on the right side, the same way you put the finger right on the middle of this holder of the button and pull it up. Springs, do not lose the springs. Unscrewing the PCB with the button. Here it is. Putting PCB back on the middle piece. And screwing that back in. Now we need to put that button back, but before we do it, again we want to clean it. I will take the springs, put them on plate. We take the button, aligning that with the pins as I mentioned. The same way, also you can look on the bottom here that we're aligning it in the location we are going to mount it, and push it in, and it's perfect. Okay, the middle piece is ready. We have back ready, middle piece ready. Let's take apart the right piece. This button here is usually one of the first things that breaks on the right Joy-Con, so check it again. There is no soldering issues. If it needs to be repaired, this plate usually bent, you bend it back and solder from both sides, or add extra solder and solder those pieces too. Let's start disassembling it. I will take out the stick first. Again, I don't really care about this stick. That film out there got stuck. Push it out. And the first thing is the haptic. We take it out the same way. Now I usually just from the corner I pry it in, pry it up. Here it is. And here you have two ribbon cables that super difficult to see. Again, latches up. The first ribbon cable for AR port and another one for the coil underneath to read the tags on amiibos. You don't want to pull them yet, just open. We want to unscrew those two screws. They go on the bottom. You pull up the PCB and slowly work it out. With open latches, it's supposed to be released easily. Take everything apart. Take all the buttons out. We have a home button here. And next step, to take AR port. I usually just lift it from this side, easily working. Don't rip the ribbon cable. We have a coil here that we also want to just pry from the bottom. And it goes flying that way. Again, we want to move that little piece, black piece from here. I just usually put my tweezers that way to release it. Don't push it too hard because you can bend it. It's not gonna look the same way. That's the old piece, nothing in there. Okay, we take that black piece, align it, and stick it in. So the most complicated part in building back the right Joy-Con is putting together those two ribbon cables. Again, I want to clean it a little bit. The first goes the AR sensor because we have haptic goes on top of it. Then there's a haptic. Push it in, it pushes in the ribbon cable. And you can see how tight it is here. The next goes the coil to detect amiibos. We put it right underneath. Push it in a little bit. And now we can start putting buttons in together. Let's take and clean buttons. Okay, let's start putting together the Joy-Con. First goes the plus button. Next goes the home button. Make sure the icon is right on top. We'll put the home button's rubber pad. Next, let's put together the buttons. This is a Y button, goes right here. Then we have X. I don't remember where it's going, but it's probably going up top. That is going here. There's no way you can put those the wrong way. Just go B. And we'll put the rubber pad in. That way those buttons are not going to fall off. Because now you see it's not falling off because rubber holding it against the casing. So now we are going to put PCB in place. The way you want to do it, you want to connect ribbons while you're putting in the PCB. And first you want to align the coil. You see it's got in by itself. I'm going to close it. The way we're not gonna lose it. And the next, we're going to align the AR port. No rush, do it slowly. I push it in. Slowly place it back on place before you close the latch, because you want to align it. It has a little ears. Now we close it. Here you go. I always opening the coil just to make sure it went there all the way. After I installed this piece, we close it again. And that's how you get the PCB in. Let's put all the screws back in. There are two white screws. Now we can connect the motor. I'm going to install new stick in. Two green screws here and here. The next, we want to plug in the back plate. Again, no rush, slowly. Open the latch, push it in. It's closing. Push it in and close it. Same thing here. Push it in and close it. Do not rush this process. Now is another complicated piece. This ribbon is very short and we need to connect it first before we can assemble everything. Push it in, close. Now you can rotate it when ribbon is connected. Don't forget what is that R button. Everything here is like have to go together. You can't damage those, so be careful. Now we put it back. We need to screw the screws that were holding the middle plate, yellow screws. And few steps left is to connect the antenna and the battery. We're sliding in the antenna this way. There's a little channel for the antenna. You can push it in to this channel. And we pushed Wi-Fi antenna the socket and press it. It should click. Let's connect the battery. And we're ready to close the lid. Just make sure everything is plugged in, everything looks clean, nothing is jammed. Slowly, don't make sure there is no ribbons or anything. You can see the Joy-Con already turned on. Let's take the screws and put them slowly back. Okay, the last part for the right Joy-Con, we need to calibrate it too. Again, as motherboard remembers the position and calibration for previous stick. Slide it in. Let's take it out first. I just want to see if it works. We slide it in. Here you go, it appears. Let's check if Joy-Con have no battery issues. The battery is good. Sorry for the lights going into the camera. Now I'm going to calibrate the stick. Calibration complete. Test the controller if everything works. The side button, good. Both side buttons are good. SL, SR. Both works. Y, X, A, B, and center is working, and the home will return us to home. Perfect. You will need Amoeba to make sure and test the Amoeba if coil is connected properly and working, and AR you can test it with a special program where you can flash the Joy-Cons and everything, but overall there's only a few instances where it's been used total. So let me unplug the Joy-Cons and I will show you what we got at the end. Those are pretty much like new looking Joy-Cons. The only buttons probably can help you to identify. We also upgraded the latches, that way they're not gonna strip anymore. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope this information will help you at least to get confident how to repair it. I know it's quite outdated information, but maybe for some guys in the future, as we're gonna keep doing this repair as a retro console, having this as a retro console. Leave your likes, dislikes, comments, and I don't know if you don't like something or if you like it, leave a comment. It will help me to improve. See you at the next one. Bye bye.